like one Chris, do we want another? Yeah! We're getting one either way. Give it up for Chris Freeland. Yeah! All right, how are you guys doing? Good. Sick. My name's Chris Freeland. Like William said, do we have any waiters or waitresses in the house tonight? One guy. Anyone ever done it in your life?
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't, you don't know what you're missing. I waited tables for years, and it's one of the wildest jobs I've ever had in my life. I think it's one of the wildest jobs, period. And I try to explain that to people who've never waited tables, and the only way I've really been able to summarize how crazy it is with the story of a guy I worked with. There's this guy named John. And I worked with John every day, and then one week John just didn't show up for any of his shifts. He didn't call out, he didn't get someone to cover for him. No one knew where he was. Then the next week, I see John coming out of the manager's office. He's back. And I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I heard my manager say, "Listen, John, it's no excuse. Those are your shifts, and it was your job to get them covered. No excuses." So I caught up with John after this conversation, and I asked him, "Hey man, where were you? What happened?" And he says to me, and this is true, he says, "I OD'd. I died for 5 minutes. And then I was in a coma for 3 days." That means my manager didn't think dying was an excuse to miss your shift. Do you understand? That's how crazy waiting tables is. My manager was just like, "Sorry, man. You better find somebody with a Ouija board and ask them to come over." Could you imagine one night, you're hanging out with your friends and you're like, "Ooh, let's be bad. Let's play with the Ouija board." And then a spirit does come and it's moving the thing to the letters, but it's just like, "Call Applebee's." Oh man. I waited tables for a few years, and I could never stay at one restaurant for a very long time. I bounced around from kind of restaurant to restaurant, and I found a lot of people in the service industry do this. You just kind of are at one place for a few months, and you move on to the next. And I really hated this because I hate job interviews. Does anyone else hate job interviews? They're the worst. I hate them because you can't be honest in a job interview. Do you know what I mean? Because they ask you really dumb questions, like, "Why do you want to work here?" "Bitch, I got bills." But you can't say that. You can't say that. You got to make up some shit like, "Oh, well, I've always been a big fan of your company. I think you provide a great public service, and if I can be honest, I feel like my personal values really align with your own corporate values, and what I'm trying to say is I'm just excited to be a part of the Arby's family. Whenever I hear we have the meats, I want to think, I have the meats. Tyler has the meats." There was one restaurant I worked at, and it was a lot of late nights at this restaurant. I wouldn't get out till usually around midnight or 1 in the morning. And one night, I got to leave early. It was the only time I worked at this restaurant that I ever got to leave early, 9 o'clock. And I was so excited. I was so stoked. I'm on my way home. I pull through a drive-thru. I grab a cherry milkshake to celebrate. I head on my way. And then, as I'm driving through an intersection, a drunk driver going the opposite way, 50 miles an hour, in a white Mustang, just swerves out of his lane and hits me head on. And I black out, my car is destroyed, and I sound spinning across the road. And then when I came to, there was this girl at my window who had seen the whole thing go down from another car. And she didn't say anything, but the look on her face just said, "Oh fuck." Something's wrong. So I'm freaking out. I'm checking to make sure I have all my limbs and I'm okay. And it's at this moment that I realize when I got hit, my cherry milkshake had just exploded all over. So what this girl saw was my car get hit, and then red liquid just splatter all over the windshield. So she ran over like expecting a massacre, you know. But what she found was something much more delicious. It looked less like a car accident, more like a scene from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was one of the bad kids who didn't listen to Mr. Wonka. I was fine, but my car was so mangled that the fire department had to use the jaws of life to get me out of my car. And if you don't know what the jaws of life are, the jaws of life is this giant machine with these two huge blades on it that can cut through literally anything. They cut through like the side of your car and just pull you out. And before they started using this machine, they handed me something through my window. And they said, here, put this over you. This will protect you while we use the jaws of life. And I didn't realize until I put this thing over me that they had just handed me a bed sheet to protect me from the jaws of life. And I don't know what thread count the sheet was. It must have been amazing. Softest sheet I've ever felt. But I felt so silly while they were doing this, sitting there in this bed sheet. Like I felt like a kid who couldn't afford a Halloween costume. So his mom just like threw him a bed sheet and was like, you're a ghost. And I'm sitting there in my ghost costume while they're doing this. And it just kind of felt like the fire department was saying like, this is what you would have looked like. Had things gone worse. Has anyone ever played that card game, Cards Against Humanity? Yeah. I recently played that game with my parents, which was fun, until I had to explain what a bukkake was to my parents. Yes, they have that card, it just says pixelated bukkake, and someone played it, and my stepmom was like, what's bukkake? And before I could tell my mouth to stop, I was like, I'll tell you what it is. I know what that is. I gave my parents like the most extreme version of a sex talk. Like, when one woman loves 30 men very much. Which is like kind of ironic because like I never got a real sex talk from my parents. Like I never got like sat down and like got the birds and the bees, you know. I think the closest I ever got to like a real sex talk was this one time my car had broken down and I was going to sell it for scrap, and me and my dad were cleaning it out. We were both like heads down, just kind of pulling stuff out of the car, and I noticed that he got real quiet all of a sudden, and I look up at him and he's just staring at me holding a box of pregnancy tests he found under my seat. And we just like stared at each other for like what felt like eternity. And then finally he said, "Is she?" And I said, "No." And then we never talked about it again. I'm really bad with cars. I went through like 4 cars in like 4 years. And I just, like, even just the other night, I almost got a little fender bender coming out of the parks garage up here with a minivan. And it wasn't my fault, but this guy was really upset. It was like this middle-aged, like super dad vibes kind of guy. And he got out of his car and he walks up to mine and he's like screaming at me. He's like, "Get out of your car! Get out of your fucking car! Let's go!" Like trying to fight me. And I don't know where this came from, like deep inside of me. But I just looked at this middle-aged man and I said, "You don't know me!" Apparently I don't know me. I don't know where that came from. Also, like, he doesn't know me, but he can clearly see me. This is not a threat. Oh man. That's why I can't wait to get one of those like self-driving cars, you know, those Teslas. You can just get in and hit a button and it drives itself. And it's got that big screen in the dash. You can watch like a movie on it while you just ride to work. Like, that's incredible. I feel like we're not like as excited about that as we should be. I feel like we're really sleeping on that. Like, you can just get in your car and watch Star Wars on your way to work.
Oh, God.
They couldn't do that in Star Wars. They could fly at light speed, but it still took 2 guys to drive the Millennium Falcon. So I feel like we're not excited about a lot of things we should be. We have so much cool technology right now. Like we have holograms, like you see in the movies. That's amazing. But like I think the reason we're not like so stoked about it is because like we invent these new things and then we immediately do the stupidest thing we can think of with them. Like some crack group of scientists spent like years developing holograms, and then the first thing they did with it was bring back Tupac for Coachella. That's like if when the Wright brothers first invented the airplane, they just used it to bring back Tupac for Coachella. We really are living in like the future though. Like we're so in the future we don't even realize, like, do you know how I know we're definitely in like the Jetsons like future? Is that like, and I know you've all experienced this, I've seen so many people answer their phones like, hello? Robot. What? A fucking robot! Oh, he wants to talk to you? Talk to him! That's awesome! When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was hang out with robots. Now they're calling us and we won't even give them the time of day. Also, like, we gotta stop that hanging up on them shit. That's how you get Terminator. We've all been hung up on. That's not fun. It's like, it's coming. Terminator's happening. One day, you all laugh, but maybe they're gonna come for you. They're gonna track you down. They're gonna come to your home. You're gonna try to run, but they're faster. They're gonna get you. You'll be able to ask one question before laser gun. Why? And they're gonna look down at you and they're gonna say, I just wanted to talk about your extended warranty. Like I said earlier, I never got a real sex talk, so the only place for me to learn about that stuff was at school, which is not good, because I went to public school. And I don't know if your sex ed class was like mine, but at my school, they took you out of gym class, it separated the boys and the girls, you went to a classroom that used to be a storage closet, where the gym coach taught you sex ed for a week. 1 week. To learn all the ins and outs. The whole thing. That's insane. There's like, I just think the reason we're so hung up on sex as a society and people get so uncomfortable about it, it's like, it's not because it's like taboo or weird, it's because like none of us want to admit we have no fucking clue what we're talking about. We all just got like a week. Like, I took a semester of marine biology in high school. I got 18 weeks for fish biology and 1 week for my own. That's kind of crazy, right? Am I the only one none of you are on board with this. Am I the only one who thinks I didn't need 18 weeks of fish biology? I can go like a year without thinking about a grouper. I think about sex every day. I learned how to dissect a squid. I still don't really know what a fallopian tube is. It's the opposite of what it should be. Also, the gym coach teaches that? Who decided that? Why is that the gym? Like, was the shop teacher busy? Like this poor guy. I just wanted this grown man in khaki shorts with a whistle around his neck. Probably just wanted to be a pro ball player. Now his responsibilities are like dodgeball, push-ups, and the subtle nuances of the clitoris. This doesn't make sense. My dad was actually one of my teachers in high school. Thankfully, he was not my gym coach, but he was actually my band teacher. And people always ask me, like, wasn't it weird having your dad as a teacher? And it wasn't. It wasn't weird having my dad as a teacher. What was weird was having my teacher as a dad. Does that make sense? Like, it wasn't weird calling him dad in class and riding to school with him and hanging out with him at school. Like, what was weird was, like, your teacher grounding you, you know? Like, for the grades they gave you. Yeah, like, that's weird. Like, what's weird is, like your teacher getting you a babysitter so they can go to the school dance. That's a little weird. What's really weird is, like, your teacher, like, coming to your house after school and fucking your mom? Absolutely. I don't have any kids myself. My girlfriend does have a 6-year-old, and it's awesome. I love her, and we get along like super well. But we've run into this awkward situation recently where she started calling me daddy, which is, it's a little weird. Just they can't both call me daddy. we talked with her. We told her, like, hey, your dad. You have a dad. This is Chris. You can just call him Chris. But she kept calling me daddy. So our solution was to let her come up with a new nickname for me. She didn't want to call me Chris. So now I'm Jazz Cat, which is like more my vibe anyways than Dad. Like Dad wears like khakis and like a phone clipped to his belt, like some kind of suburban Batman. But like Jazz Cat wears like a sick leather jacket, shoes on a toothpick, Like that's just the kind of vibe I'm going for as a father figure. Like I'm not gonna teach you how to ride a bike, but I'll teach you how to hand roll your own cigarettes. It's never too early to start. That's what Jazz Cat says. Like I'm not gonna drive you around in a minivan, but I will let you ride in the back of my sweet hog. No helmet. Jazz Cat's not scared to death. He's got 9 lives. All right, guys, that's my time. My name is Chris Freeland. Thank you very much.